Hey, muy buenas noches to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, Tony, muchas gracias for allowing me to get on your platform. Stories written by a current prisoner to share my stories. And before I start, como siempre, I want to extend my appreciation again to everyone for everyone's time, kind words, and for you guys' prayers. Muchísimas gracias. Okay, now to continue on what I had said, I was going to touch up on three individuals. I wanted to touch up on the ex Pili, Tonito Lopez from Wilmas. I seen a lot of different videos and a lot of he said, she said, and I just wanted to basically address it because I think there's been a lot of wrong put out there. Well, me personally, I go back. My first experience with Tonito was when he was teamed up with Boxer, and he was actually trying to take over yards and step on other Billy's toes. uh I remember he tried to move in Centinela, also in B Yard in Ironwood, and there just was a lot that in other circumstances, different Billies were getting their wing clipped, which eventually, as time passed and I seen a lot of senores fall, I didn't really comprehend why he was still kept in his place and he was still pushing for the causa. But within time I came to find out that everything was looked aside, and that included camaradas he was doing wrong for what they always do, which is money. He was in a lot of different Billy's pockets. But again, I didn't know really the extent of it. I remember my first shoot term in Tehachapi, he was mentioned a lot there. Because to be sincere, most of the camaradas that came from the harbor area, they were underneath him. He had a lot of reach. He had a lot of gente working for him. And I remember my very first celly for a couple days was Spooky from the harbor area, you know, and he's the one that actually like really enlightened me on a lot of things that were going on the streets. For example, you know, Tonito at this time had a lot of canales that were hating on him. One was his own homeboy, as you guys are aware of who he is, because on the streets he was having crews rob connectors. They would go rob connectors, and next thing they were missing jale, money, and at the same time, he would assign himself and his crew to actually try to look for these individuals, which it was never going to happen because it was his own gente doing it. He was finding a loophole, and at the end of the day, it came out. Came out, and I guess there was promises of making that up, and some agreed and some were in disagreement of it. Now, as I'm telling this, I'm minimizing a lot of things. For example, you know, when a person speaks about senores bumping heads over things, there's a lot of camaradas that fall victim to it. They get used and abused, and even though Tonito was doing wrong, he was still of what I heard, was getting a couple from his crew and smoking them and basically, putting the blame on that. So he was, in other words, abusing his power, and he was thinking he was smarter than the next Billy, which is always the case with them. Now, when I hit Corcoran, there was a big investigation that happened. I remember, a señor from Watts, and I believe Fox was there at that time, and Esmailon too. They uh they basically, not in them words, but uh co-signed that story, that Tonito was doing a lot of shady stuff, but they were giving him enough rope for him to hang himself. And I believe it just happened on a shipment that they basically they booby trapped it. How? That's between them, But it came back that yeah, what I gathered from it was they basically put a stamp or a certain thing on the Halle that got robbed, and waited where it surfaced, and then it just lit up. But again, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you if it was behind money, power, or if he had the game like that to run them by to basically get looked aside. Now within time, I hit Pelican Bay. And I remember when I was up there, I got to I got to hear a lot from him. For example, he was a straight brincacharcos. In other words, to my opinion, he was a lambe huevos. Because I heard that he had history for this. To say the least. Because he was he sidelined with the other Pili, Droopy from Shelltown, and all the shady stuff they were doing. And when Droopy took a dive, Tonito all of a sudden just tried to finesse into that little war he had going with, or they had going with Guate, and Stomp and them, and that didn't go well. So then he tried to go with Tablas, Tigre, and them, and that didn't work out good for him. As you guys know, what happened to Tigre, but there was a lot of people involved in that, and a lot of people actually escaped from there untouched. So, but the biggest one was he actually sidelined against the Tio Pio and Boxer, at one time, and sidelined with Tupi, and he was moving on a lot of Tio Pio's territory, and they were stabbing a lot of camaradas over BS, and just it was just basically soldados against soldados going at it. And I think he seen the writing on the wall. 'Cause as you guys know, Tupi wasn't all there, so he probably seen a losing case there, and then he went to a straight snake, which was Boxer, and I don't know what they were, how he he finessed it to get away with it. Then all of a sudden he surfaced with just being solo bolo. He kept doing his thing. Now, for a lot of people that are on the sidelines just guessing, I want to tell you from firsthand experience. When I hit Pelican Bay, it was already set with a lot of pilis. That Tonito had to go, for the simple fact that A lot of people question that if his wife might have been an informer or something. Just for those that were there at the moment, his wife was an informant. Way before he got whacked, she had disappeared. The feds had already moved her, and a lot of people went down for it. It was like, it wasn't just like she picked up and took off. It's like she disappeared, and a whole bunch of batos, pilis got taken into court. So yeah, that's something he could not hide. He basically couldn't hide the fact that he got told to move on her and he decided not to. He went against the green. And why I'm even touching on this, because I hear stories that there's a lot of people trying to bring doubt on how this individual was, that it basically speaking about him being wrongfully moving on when it's not the case. He hurt a lot of good camaradas. Like I could tell you, like when that Paisa Medina and Calipe got hit, that Paisa was doing everything right for the gente, Sureña and Paisanos. And for no apparent reason, he just wanted to take that from him. And not to mention, like, I could name at least 15 sales of camaradas that were into HP shoe, that picked up shoe, that lost their date, that picked up more time. A lot of them got stabbed over that little power struggle of him being greedy and trying to take over. But the drop that overfloated the cop was that when his wife did disappear and they actually picked up, there's a lot of people hurt behind that. A lot of people caught live, and not to leave aside the people that he had taken out for no reason, just to cover his butt. And you could say it like it makes me a little angry, that I understand it's social media and everything, but I really think that when you put a false narrative about a individual, you're basically misguiding the youth. And I really feel there's a lot of people on YouTube right now that they opening that window for the right people to determine them to go a different route. But there is those that just speak because they can, because they want to cash that YouTube money every month, or I don't know how it works, but there's a lot of people with good information. Like there was a while back on a certain Pili downfall or incident down here that there was a channel that basically shouted me out, and that guy right there has good information. We might not be speaking about the same uh, line or organizations, but at one point he was with it. Um, I don't want to come on here and attack nobody. Is why I'm not mentioning nobody by name. I basically coming on here just to ask of everybody, just really be your own man, or your own woman, and analyze the stories. Cause not to pump myself up or anything, but I've heard so many stories about individuals that I could really rip holes in it like you wouldn't even believe, just on dates, persons, time they were together, everything. And just mind what you're doing, and keep in mind that you're doing it to better our gente, not drag them along with lies. So, in my opinion, Tonito was one of the dirtiest persons that there was out there. And even to the day they moved on him, he still took camaradas with him, and his them actions actually had a ricochet that took out another Pili, which is going to be the next one I talk about. and cause there's a lot of BS said about him, and he's one of many that I think that he was as righteous as they came. He was a dirty guy, but he minded camaradas. At least he took them into consideration, which I will get into it. But in my opinion, and from being there, from hearing it from those people that you should hear from, not all that he said, she said, or how much you gonna pay me and tell me this story. I was there actually hearing it from the right people. From the late '90s, Tonito was playing with fire. He was pushing that line, hurting. I'm talking about, think about it. Every faction she was with, which was with Goofy from Shelltown, and then matching all them homies he took with him. Then when he jumped chips over here, I must have heard about 5 different times he jumped, from a different ramfla from the MA. But again, I'm not on here to start any type of beef with nobody. It's just a message to those that hear me and that are kind with your words and really pay attention to what I say. Just be smart and aware, that there's a lot of people that come on here and they're glorified like legends, these people, and just like I always say, be smart, analyze the situation, and they wouldn't move on a water like that if there wasn't foundation behind it. And I think it will make a lot more sense on my next story, which would be like continuing on this. And again, I know I shouldn't touch on this or they shouldn't touch a nerve, but there's a lot of people on YouTube trying to do righteous and guiding the youth the right way, and then there's those that don't really care. I guess it falls anywhere you're at. But gente, be smart. To the youngsters, the way you could be smart, just ask around, man. When you're on the streets, it's easy to figure things out, but just be smart, and again, not on here to guide anybody to tell or piece you up or and nothing like that. My only message on here is, you know, be smart, love your loved ones at all times. So, with this says, I hope I made a little bit of sense of this. I just thought I would speak on it because there's a lot more that goes behind this individual than just, he got taken out. For years, he was making camaradas PC up. He was hurting camaradas, using and abusing his power and lying. And at the end of the day, he got told this is going to happen and he thought it was better than everybody. And it happened to the dot. Is why he got taken out. But with this said, my gente, please stay true to yourself, loyal to your loved ones, and muchas gracias again. Muy buenas noches.